The gentleman from Illinois, Ms. Biggert.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Mr. Secretary, for being here. The administration's proposal strips all of the consumer protection functions from all of the banking regulators and puts them in a separate agency, to me, essentially making the government bigger but not better for consumers. Won't your proposal deny the regulators the ability to manage the risk of a financial institution, and won't this new agencies tell consumers what they can and cannot have, and tells businesses what products they can and cannot offer, conflict with the safety and soundness role of the banking regulators? Can you give me a yes or no answer with that?
No. But maybe could I say a few more things in response?
Mm-hmm.
We're not proposing, we're not making government bigger in this case. As you said, we're taking authority that exists in a bunch of different places, both rule writing and enforcement authority, and we're moving that to a central place where there'll be more accountability and we hope better outcomes than we achieved with the system we've been living with.
Well, then what's the function of the banking regulators, their safety and soundness? But how do you get those
Principally
back
safety
together?
and soundness, but as you and I have discussed in the past, there are areas where these things overlap. So it's not going to be a completely bright line, but we want bank regulators to be principally responsible for safety and soundness. And we think we're going to have both better consumer protection and better safety and soundness regulation if we have better separate accountability for those functions.
But do you see then the Consumer Protection Agency trumping the existing regulators?
Not only on, again, we're proposing give them rule writing authority and primary enforcement authority over consumer protection, not over safety and soundness.
Well, it seems like there'll be a lot of duplication of effort, but
Well, we want to avoid that. But again, there's a lot of duplication effort in our system. Our system is characterized by a, frankly, difficult to defend mix of parts of the system with incredible overlapping authority and parts of the system where nobody had adequate authority. So it is not a system we would have designed. We were starting from scratch today, and we're going to have to try to get clearer accountability, more focused accountability, less overlap, but better safeguards where they didn't exist.
how do you do that if you separate those?
Well, they are very different types of functions. They have not been done particularly well when they were done as they've been done to date. So our view is separating is more simple and clearer.
I've got concerns about the recently passed cap and trade bill, and it had about derivatives in there, and language is included to regulate the OTC markets and limit participation in the market. I'd like to know what is the administration's position on the bill's new tax on transactions, and I know that there was a caveat at the 3 a.m. 300-page manager's amendment, which put in a caveat that if there's legislation passed, this will be null and void. But what did you think about what was in that bill, and will some of that carry over into other legislation?
Congresswoman, for reasons I think you can appreciate, can I respond to that in writing?
I would appreciate
Okay.
it if that's okay.
Or separately in some appropriate form? It's a complicated bill. It's got a lot of complicated provisions in these areas,
Okay.
and I want to do it well.
Okay. Then just one quick question. I'm still worried about that we're going to incentivize much of the market to move overseas if we impose new regulations on the market, that is the over-the-counter market. How can we really forestall that?
Well, it's a important thing to avoid, but if you look carefully at what the Europeans are proposing now, what the UK has proposed in public now, there is much more convergence in our approach than we've seen in a long period of time, and I think that's encouraging. But we share your commitment to that. We want to be careful to avoid that risk.
Okay, thank you. Yield back.
Thanks, gentlelady.